Well, this one you've kind of covered this a little bit, but Andrew Ehrenreich, remember that man? There you go,
Oh, yeah.
straight away.
I met him.
He said,
I met him at PAX.
He did say he was going, but I know he said he left a bit earlier, didn't he? I think he said he was going to be.
We crossed paths for about 5 minutes, and then that was it.
At least he got to see you though. That's all that matters.
At least I got to see him.
That way, yeah. He put, would you rather Sony start putting money into their own VR games, new IP, or current Sony IPs, or put more money into third-party devs to get their games on the PSVR 2, like Resident Evil and Hitman?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call because I think Sony has a lot of good first-party IPs that would be great for VR. Honestly, I think Uncharted. I feel like Uncharted would have made a better climbing game than Horizon.
Yeah, that was the go-to.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I think it's cheaper. It'd probably be cheaper for them to just throw money at third-party studios. Be like, bring your VR game over to PSVR 2. Bring your flat screen game into VR. I think that it's that kind of stuff. I like to diversify the catalog and get as much random stuff out on the platform as possible. So I mean, if we have to pick, then yeah, I mean, get more villages and get more. Dude, I mean, what do you think about Resident Evil 9? Do you think we're going to get a VR announcement for Resident Evil 9 the same way we did for Resident Evil 4? Do you think they're just going to skip VR altogether?
I'm hoping they don't skip VR altogether, but I'm probably thinking they're going to do what they did last time, where they kind of don't mention it in the trailers initially, and kind of get that hype just around Resident Evil itself. Because if they start, I'm all for like when developers kind of concentrate on one thing, because otherwise they put too many things in, it kind of overwhelms certain people. For like somebody who does enjoy playing the game in non-VR and then wants to switch between VR, instantly when you know VR is going to be there, you're like, oh, okay, but you're not taking in the whole trailer because you're like, okay, I'm thinking about the VR side of it. How is that going to look? How is that going to be? What's that going to feel like? And then if they ignore that completely, you're like, wow, look at this environment, look at this scenery, look at the characters we're playing as. You kind of take that in a bit more. So I'm hoping it's going to be VR, because I think them skipping VR would be an absolute shock to the kneecap. Because, yeah, I don't know how they do it, but like their VR ports, well, not VR ports, but their VR add-ons, their games are just absolutely insane, to the point where I want other Resident Evil games, but I do want Resident Evil 2 in VR. Like, I want them to go back and get that in VR. I want to experience that. I don't want to go on a mod on PC. But I think they probably will do VR. But again, I think it would have to, like you said, a bit of Sony money to kind of sweeten that deal for them to do it again. And I'm assuming Sony would probably look at the numbers of how many downloads of the DLC. So, if you watch this and you don't actually have a PSVR 2, just go download the DLC for the the games. Go do that to make it look like the numbers are good.
Yeah, that works.
Help us out.
Yeah, so I've got this something weird has happened with me.
Are you turning negative?
No, not at all. Not at all. But something weird happened with Resident Evil 9, right? Like, I'm usually really good about just remembering like where I got certain information from or whatever. But Resident Evil 9, I have these very clear memories of reading interviews with developers at Capcom talking about Resident Evil 9 and saying how they definitely are so interested in bringing Resident Evil 9 into VR, and how it won't be there at launch, and it'll be a few months after the fact. And none of this exists anywhere.
You can't find any of it.
Yeah. None of it exists anywhere. And I could have sworn I even put it into like a PSVR this week or something like that, where it's just like, then I can't even remember that. Right? I have to go back and watch 50 episodes of PSVR this week.
Did you dream it? Was it like a lucid dream?
I think I dreamt it, which means that I just need a better fantasy life. Reece, it's like, this is just not working for me.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe you do need to step out of VR just for a little bit. Okay.
Just a little bit.
Let's get you over to London. Yeah, let's have a night out.
But yeah, so there's something in my head. I feel like it's like the Mandela effect or something. Like in the reality that I previously existed in, there was confirmation about Resident Evil 9 coming to PSVR 2. But in this reality that we currently exist in, they just never talked about it. And so patience, everyone. We'll find out if the Mandela effect is real. Yeah.
Otherwise, just I don't know, just crack open Brian's skull and just play the VR version in there, because it clearly exists.
No, I guarantee you there's nothing in there. I did it. I did
just empty. Just cat meowing.
Too much ecstasy in college, and it's just I think it's just like all just deteriorated and fizzled.
So there's
out.
definitely a cat living in there. Then that's all that's in there.
There's something living in there, but it's not brain matter. That's for sure.
All right. So another question from Andrew. He said, "Do you think PSVR 1 still holds up in 2025, or does it feel too outdated at this point?"
It feels really comfortable.
Yeah, mate. I tell you what, when you put on that PSVR 2 for the first time, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then I put back on the PSVR 1. I was like, "Where did they go wrong? Where did they go wrong in it?"
Yeah, it's really strange because like I don't have too many complaints about the PSVR 2, because I think most people like want to wear it the same way as PSVR 1, and it's like no, you have to have that back thing way further down.
Do you have the globular cluster? Just out of curiosity.
In a box. I haven't opened it yet. It's sitting next to my B Haptics vest in a box that I haven't opened. Okay. They've both been sitting here for a year, waiting for an accessory video that's never going to happen.
Right.
But I hear it's good.
The globular cluster, literally, like my partner couldn't stand the PSVR 2 when she put it on. She was like, I don't like this at all. I can't get used to it. The material they used as well, certain people can be quite allergic to that, so it's actually giving her a rash on the front of her head.
Oh, come on, really?
So like from the out of the box, like her experience of that thing was constant hate with this device. Not because it didn't look good or anything, but just because the material they used, it was uncomfortable. And then she eventually sold hers after having 2 bad game experience. So Firewall Ultra being the first one, because we were both big lovers of 0 Hour. Mm-hmm. And then the next game she wanted was Ghostbusters. So there were the 2 games she was really excited for. Literally after Ghostbusters, she's like, "Yeah, I'm done with this shit." So I bought it off her for half the price.
Oh wow!
But she eventually tried the globular cluster, and she was like, "If I had that on release, I think I would have been able to kind of push through and kind of use the headset a bit more." So I think that was kind of like a winning argument that I actually said in my review about it, just because of the simple fact is like it's not so much the uncomfortability; it's actually the material that the PSVR 2 uses. It doesn't have that fake plastic or fake leather on the front of it. Instead, it's this rubber material, which there are people out there who are allergic to rubber and things like that. So it's just not ideal.
Yeah, so PSVR 1 super comfortable. It is funny when you put it on after not having worn it for a long time. You're just like, wow, this is still the most comfortable headset on the market. And honestly, like I lived and breathed PSVR 1 for so long that I really thought that going back and playing PSVR 1 games with Move controllers or the IM controller or the DualShock 4, it's just going to feel bad. And it doesn't. Like I did it for so long that I'm so used to, using face buttons to turn or using the move button to walk forward.
It was such an odd time.
It was, right? But developers did come to a consensus, right, about how are we going to work with this stuff. And so it kind of feels natural. I'm surprised at how good the resolution and this. The funny thing is Sony definitely screwed up when it came to the design of the headset, the ergonomics, but they also screwed up with reprojection, right? PSVR 1 uses reprojection constantly, and no one ever said the word reprojection for all 6 years of PSVR 1's life, ever, right?
Yeah, don't ever remember watching one of your reviews where you said this game has really bad reprojection. Never.
Right. They all used reprojection. Every single one of them ran it 60 reprojected to 120. Every single one of them we didn't have a problem with it at all because it didn't look bad. We never saw ghosting because Sony's got some work to do on their end to clean up a mess that they made. But so it does hold up because we don't have to worry about reprojection and the resolution is fine. And I just never really outgrew the Move controllers. I really appreciate what we have with the Sense controllers, but I'll tell you, man, Move controllers still the best way to play Beat Saber. Nothing else makes you feel like you're.
I am not going to deny it.
Yep.
100% agree with you there. So much so that I won't play Beat Saber now on the PSVR 2. I actually opted for the Quest version just because it's the closer version to the the Move controllers. But it gives me a really bad wrist cramp.
I want to get weights to like something to extend off the Sense controllers that like weigh them down, like to sort of give that lightsaber hilt feeling that we had with the moves.
It's not that for me. Like I feel like with my hands tilt when I'm holding the Sense controller. So when I'm playing Beat Saber, I kind of have to like cradle the bottom of the controller like I'm a T-Rex. It's a bit weird. Yeah. And I don't know if anyone else has tried that, but it was the only way that kind of felt comfortable playing this game. And I don't know if it's because I was so used to the Move controllers playing this game that when I played it on the PSVR 2, I couldn't do the combos I used to do, and I don't know. It just made me feel really shite at the game to the point where I was like, I don't want to play this anymore. I feel really bad.
Yeah, I think you get used to it after a while, because I felt the same way when I first got in there, and but yeah, I think I still hold the controller strangely. Like I think the ring like digs into the side of my hand from the way that I hold. Yeah, there's something weird about it for sure.
Okay, I'm glad it's not just me then.
Definitely not.
Okay, so the next question is from Hippie Pickle, and he's put, what retro IP would you want to come back but in VR?
Wow. Retro IP comeback, but in VR. Oh man, I mean, I could go really. I was gonna say I could go really straightforward or go really obscure, but I think no matter what I pick would be pretty obscure. The one that I keep thinking about. There's this game called on the PC Engine or TurboGrafx 16. There's a game called Gekibo Boy, the Photograph Boy, and the whole thing was like the side-scrolling 2D like auto scroller, right? Where like you were controlling this little dude in the bottom left-hand corner. You could move him left and right, make him jump, do all that stuff. But you're also simultaneously controlling this cursor, this like square on the screen. And so like with one button you could jump, and with the other button you were taking photographs. And so the entire level was about avoiding the obstacles and the the things that are being thrown at you and all that. It's like kind of typical platformer stuff. But the other part of it was that you were simultaneously taking photographs of weird shit happening in the environment all around you. And the cool photographs you took, the better you'd score. And if you scored enough, you could move on to the next stage. And so it just feels like something that would really work well in VR, right? It's like you'd be like, running through a level and simultaneously like have this like, disposable camera or something like up to your face, or a really cool camera, maybe with an adjustable lens, that kind of stuff.
Similar to like Umurangi Generations camera, I suppose.
I mean, God, what? I was sort of looking forward to Umurangi because...
Yeah, I feel like the way you're saying this, you would have looked forward to Umurangi, and then when it came out, I feel like because I remember you saying the other day when you was going through the games and Sal, you was like, no, it wasn't for me. And it also didn't tick with me. I liked it, but I didn't at the same point. I was like, I don't really get what the reason is for me playing this kind of thing. It is an odd one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm sort of describing is Pokemon Snap, but with more... It's similar, right? To that.
So you got that game. There is that game coming out though, isn't there? Where you got to take photos of like Bigfoot type of stuff.
Oh yeah, there is that.
Yeah, in VR. Yeah, there you go. Maybe you'll get exactly what you want, just not the IP.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, I think cameras in VR, similar to like sniper scopes, they work really well, right? Because they give you're like, oh, I'm actually looking through this thing, or I'm looking through the viewfinder in order to do this. It just adds to the immersion. And so I think a lot more people would be happier if I said I want Fatal Frame games in VR. Because again, you're running around and you're doing survival horror stuff, but then you're also taking photographs of ghosts. So I want more photography games apparently in VR is what I'm looking for.
Interesting.
Yeah. So let's go with Fatal Frame because I don't think anyone knows what Gekibo Boy actually is.
I feel like everyone's sitting there going, so really he just wants to be a photographer. Right, let's get him a camera.
For sure.
Okay, so the next question, I mean, you've already answered part of this. It comes from someone in our Discord called Mbusic. Mike, his name is. I'll go with his Discord name. He's put, do you still play on the PSVR 1? And if so, what titles do you play? Obviously, we know you still play on the PSVR 1, but when you go on it, what game kind of stands out for you to jump back into?
Listen, just because it's set up doesn't mean I actually use it. Like, I do, and I feel bad for even saying this, but like, without Parole, as much as I love it, it's still a job, right? And so
exactly
when I do, I play so much VR, and I play VR games that like some of them I really like, and some of them are just like, why do I have to play this? And so that doesn't even mean they're bad games. Sometimes it just means like it's not in a genre that I care about, or I'm just not in the mood to play this type of game today, right? Like that's what gaming's all about, right? I've been playing Balatro for like the last 48 hours straight, right? It's just when a game hits you at the right time, and then you kind of get absorbed in it. It's so great. But gaming is not about being forced to play games. It's being it's finding something that resonates with you, something that you really enjoy, something that sparks, something in your brain where you're like, oh, I really like this. I really want to play this. But doing what we do, means that you don't get that luxury of picking and choosing the games that you want to play. You got to kind of play everything. Whether you're making a review or not, you've got to be knowledgeable about these games. And so frequently I'm just like, VR starts to it
becomes less of an enjoyment, sadly, doesn't it?
It's
not in that sense. I mean, it's more of a headache, isn't it?
It is work, and sometimes I'm laying in bed and being like, I just don't want to put the headset on today. I just don't feel like it. And fortunately, I'm not working for anyone else, right? I'm not Ian Higdon working for Eurogamer, right? I just don't have to do it if I don't want to. It just means that I'm not going to make very much money this month. And so, it's so when you're not if VR is work or what I'm doing during work hours,
it's something you want to avoid when you're not.
Yeah, I'm not curious about, throwing my Quest 3 on and checking out some game that'll come to PSVR 2 eventually or whatever. Or if I'm not, if I don't totally feel like putting on the PSVR 1 headset and going back and playing Rush of Blood or Robinson the Journey or these games that I have really fond memories of, and I'm curious how they hold up, right? But like I'm not curious enough to actually play them because I'd rather go play some Balatro.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's like when I'm not playing VR at the moment, because I do agree. Like a lot of the time I play a VR game, it's because it's either one, it's a game that I have the intention to speak about on here or make a video elsewhere, and it's like as soon as you come off it, like you don't want to play another VR game because you've just got your thoughts on that one. So I end up just spending another 2 to 5 hours playing Traveler's Rest on PC, just building my little inn on there and thinking that's my happy place.
Yeah.
And that's all I find I do whenever I take off the VR headset these days. It's pretty crazy. It's weird how the passion of what you started the channel for, it's weird how it kind of comes to that point where it's like, it's a bit like I'm not playing these games to enjoy them sometimes now, sadly. It's like I'm not getting that full experience from them that I would from like, you still play the ones and you're like, I enjoyed that experience, but you go in with that mindset of like, okay, I need to see if this is all working fine kind of thing. It does kind of take away that kind of initial, I'm excited to play this, because you go in going, I'm probably going to find something that needs to be mentioned, or it's a bit of a weird one. It's kind of hard to explain, but I think you get what I mean in that sense.
I totally get what you mean, and that's why when it comes to games like Phasmophobia or Ancient Dungeon, these games that I just do find myself continually going back to. Somebody goes, "Oh, you want to play some Walkabout?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, let's jump in." I'm not doing that for review. I'm not doing that to talk about on Gamescast. I'm not doing it for any other reason other than I want to hang out with my friends and have a good time, and play something fun. That's when you know that you've got a good game on your hands. That's when you know that you're like, "Oh, I want to play this," despite the fact that I had a VR headset on my face all day long for work. And so that's, so I mean, shout out to Phasmo and shout out to Ancient Dungeon. Like these are, say what you will about Phasmo's jank, but I mean, I've got 150 hours in that game at this point.
I used to play it back on the PC when it first came out, and then PC VR when I eventually got PC VR. So I've experienced nothing but jank for Phasmophobia before it came to PlayStation.
Right.
All I've known is jank with that game. But no, I agree with that. It's I'm in a similar situation with Ghost of Tabor. Like someone mentioned, and I'm like, I'll definitely jump on that. Like I have no intention to record or anything like that. And then something funny will happen, and I'm like, oh guys, I'm just going to record that last 20 minutes clip because that was actually hilarious, and I'm going to have to do something like that at some point. And it's just that kind of stuff, them moments, because otherwise if you go in with the intention to make content or record because you're now having to show things, it really does take away that kind of the fun that the game can give you.
Yeah, so. I'm still in review mode for Hitman and Ghost of Tabor, and which is sort of what's keeping me from playing two of the greatest games on PSVR 2 right now, because it's like I want to play those games and just enjoy them, but I know that it's going to be like I got to be capturing like just hundreds of gigabytes of
Ghost
review
of
footage.
Tabor. Yeah, Ghost of War is one of them ones as well that you're going to have to play it. Not only are you going to have to play it, you're going to have to understand the mechanics of it and all these different things, the different parts of your bunker and all that kind of stuff to kind of explain all these different things that people will probably know about. But at the same point, to kind of do your own videos justice and what you're happy with, you're going to want to mention all that as well. When it's like, that's a lot of hours you've got to sink into that game before you get to that point understanding all that.
Yeah, and that's what some viewers don't understand. Sorry, more sirens. Is that man? It's like I can't just play for 3 days and then push out a review, right? The way that they like, well, I've been playing for 3 days and I understand this game. And like, no, not the way. Like I've got very, very severe imposter syndrome right? Like
Yeah.
I almost, back on the PSVR 1 era, I've gotten over it to some degree, but during the PSVR 1 era, I would beat a game and then I would beat it again before reviewing it, right? Just because I wouldn't feel confident that I knew what I was talking about, right? I didn't feel like I had some kind of like voice of authority and that I had really understood this stuff. And so, but fortunately I don't feel like I have to do that anymore. But yeah, for something like Ghost of Tabor, like you really do need to understand every system and make sure that like you just know how to do everything. And on top of that, be able to articulate it to an audience that's never played that game before. And that's so much more in depth and involved than I think most people understand.
Yeah, it's one of those games where it takes a lot of time. Here's the question from Golu. Do you think that one day Sony will stop ignoring you and will appreciate what you do for PSVR 2?
I don't know. I've talked to so many people over the years. For anyone who's watching this and has no idea about the Without Parole backstory, we used to leak whatever we could leak. We used to talk about whatever we get, any information we could get our hands on. As long as we learned, I always figured out like I need to make sure that this can't be traced back to my sources, right? I'd have to like contact lots of people and be like, did you know about this, or does only my source know about this, right? Because we even heard for a little while that Sony was leaking false information to some people that we talked to, because they were trying to figure out who was leaking shit to us. Right. So they would leak one thing to one person, leak something else to somebody else. It sounds so paranoid to me, but I found this out from like, again, sources deep within Sony that like, fortunately are around and will talk to us. And so when we found out that PSVR 2 wasn't coming out when most people expected it to, that it was going to be a full year later, we leaked that. And then we leaked the official specs, more so than even Upload had done. And they didn't like that. They didn't like that at all. Like when we put out that video that first of all, no one believed me when I said it. And they were like, well, who are your sources? And I was like, well, that's not how this works. I'm trying to keep people from being fired. I'm not going to tell you who my sources are. But like, if you trust me, then like, you've just got to roll with this. Right. And so like, I've never delivered any misinformation. Anyway, so they didn't like those leaks. But what they really didn't like was when I went full on with the hybrid model. People talk about hybrid games all the time. That is a Sony term that you guys heard from me. That is how it funneled through into our collective consciousness. Like they talked about hybrid games internally, talked about how hybrid games are the future. They talked to a certain number of developers talking about hybrid games, blah blah blah. I saw everything that they showed to developers during this developer summit, the entire video, the entire transcripts of the entire thing, and hybrid games was a thing. I talked about hybrid games, and now we all talk about hybrid games.
And now we all hope for hybrid games.
And Sony, that was the last straw for them. They did not want any of that discussed. They did not want anybody talking about hybrid games, and that's what caused me to get blacklisted. Because I do think at one point, I think we've all seen that Sony's not the same Sony from 5 years ago. Like Jim Ryan had pushed things into a direction of games as a service. They maybe took their foot off the gas when it came to VR a little bit, and they're just not the same Sony that we fell in love with. I think they're gradually getting back to that. But I think at one point, hybrid games was a bigger focus for them. They were like, oh yeah, PSVR 2 is a transitional generation where like it doesn't make sense for us to make builds from the ground up for VR games. We're going to spend money making sure that flat screen games come into VR, and those are hybrid games. And then when I told people that was it, they stopped responding to emails like pretty much that day. And I had like 4 different Sony reps that I would talk to, and then suddenly all of them stopped responding to me. And it took a little while for me to find out what happened, but that is exactly what happened. They just did not like us talking about hybrid games. So to answer the question, do I think that they'll, care about what we're doing and recognize that we're like, dragging VR through this generation a little bit? I don't think so. I don't think so. And part of me doesn't care. Like
it's
most
a
of me doesn't
job.
care. Yeah. Like, I hope, and to some extent, I think it adds a little bit of credibility to what we're doing. right?
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
not in anybody's back pocket. We're not Quest ambassadors. We're not Sony ambassadors. We're beholden to no one. We're not getting money from anybody other than our viewers, right? Our viewers are, supporting us on Patreon. They're supporting us with tips on the live shows. The YouTube ad revenue is a thing for sure, but that's how these businesses run.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but I'm not taking money from Vertigo Games for paid promotions or paid reviews or anything like that. I get all
Yeah,
the
I've
offers.
noticed that.
I get
Yeah, I've
them
noticed you
all.
don't do sponsored reviews or anything like. I mean, I'm not a fan of sponsored reviews. As soon as like a review comes up and a sponsored logo pops out, I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested in that because even if it's someone I completely trust, it's more. And I'm still probably going to trust their views. It's more so like I don't want to know that's been incentivized in
Right.
any way, shape, or form. Like I don't mind if it's like a gameplay video and then they're like, oh, this video is sponsored by blah 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 because it's just a normal gameplay video where they're talking their own shit, I suppose, as opposed to them going over an actual game itself. And I understand it, especially whenever you get offered. It's something sometimes you can't really say no to. I suppose you
I
can say
mean,
no to, but
I say no to it constantly, and it's affected me financially. You know what I mean? Like I break even every month when it comes to paying bills after YouTube pays me. And then the tax season comes along at the end of the year, and I find myself like $7,000 in debt, and then I gradually build claw myself out of that. And so I mean, you can say no to it. It's just detrimental, financially. And so I
yeah,
understand that a lot of people are running these things as a business. I'm just a terrible businessman. I am like I understand that if I took all of the opportunities that were given to me, I'd probably be doing pretty good financially. I think I'd probably be living a really not extravagant life, but
luxurious
very
life. You'd have
comfortable
seven
for sure.
cats. You know, you wouldn't just have the one. You'd have seven.
I might have a bigger apartment.
Have a whole room for them.
Yeah, right. Listen, my apartment is like less than 400 square feet. I feel bad for tornadoes. Sometimes I have to open the door and like let's go hang out in the hallway. So it's at least something different for you, right? How long can you stare out that window? Oh, she's gone. So not very long. So but I can sleep at night and I feel good about what the decisions that I've made and I like again like I just I don't want to be in anyone's back pocket. I don't want anyone telling me what to do, what to say, because all of these things, regardless of what people tell you, they all come with some sort of limitations, right? And even if it's not explicitly stated in the documents, you can say this, you can't say that. Somebody's giving you $500 to put out a 20-minute video. You're gonna be nicer than you would be.
Yeah.
That's just
Oh,
the case,
100%. Yeah.
right?
It is what it is. You can't deny that. I mean, I think that's what always puts me off of when it's a sponsored video, and that's why I refuse to watch any sponsored reviews. I can't do it to myself. I'm not gonna waste my time here because I don't know how much they've given you, kind of thing.
Right.
Like, I mean, and sadly you can't always be transparent with it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with channels doing it. I mean, by all
Nope.
means, if you get them opportunities and you feel like you want to take them, absolutely go for it. Swing for the mountain. I mean, we've had a sponsorship before in here. We no longer have that, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Listen, people, like I said, are better businessmen than me, right? And I think most people are supporting a family. Most people are, have a mortgage to pay on a house, not the tiny little apartment. Most people have bigger financial responsibilities than I do, right? Which is why I can afford to sit on my high horse and be like, oh, I don't take sponsorships. I will take a sponsorship when I find the right one, when it has nothing to do with gaming, right? When it has something to do with, like Factor,
Underwear.
underwear. Yeah, dude, I'll definitely model some me
On that ass. Right? Boxers.
They don't. I don't think anybody would buy me undies if I was the one modeling them. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not off the table. And I think I need to start looking into things like that just to live a little bit more comfortable life.
Yeah.
Give Tornado what she deserves.
Yeah, maybe if it's like not on your videos, but maybe if it's just like a 30-second thing, like a real one, Gamecast or something like that. It's not too. My problem with sponsorships is when they're too intrusive. Like it's like, for instance, you'll be playing like, I don't know, someone will be playing a really happy game that has no weapons in it, and all of a sudden they'll be like, buy the B haptics vest that works on all these shooting games. It's like, I don't see the correlation between these two items. Like that's what makes no sense to me, is them type of ones. like if it's like something that kind of adds up and makes sense to the video they're showing, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see me as a consumer who's watching this being interested in that. And I think that's what always bothers me as well, and it's something I struggle with a little bit with trying to find that to like placement type of stuff as well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I
But again,
do
yeah,
have one more question for you though, in
I do.
terms of the Sony stuff.
Before we move on, I just want to double down and make sure that anybody watching knows that like neither one of us blames anyone for taking sponsorships. Like, because it can sound, you know,
Sponsor me.
This whole scene can seem really shady. You know what I mean? Like, it's just and different creators throwing shade at each other and shit. And I'm like, I've just never wanted to be part of that. And
no, I think that's the right way to be.
Yeah, I've chosen you know ways to build my channel, and other people have chosen ways to build their channel, and you know, again, a lot of people out there far more successful than Without Parole are, who could certainly teach me a few things about about you know, about how to do this better. And so yeah, so I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. No shade.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. No, and it comes back to what I said at the start. I mean, much like you, we're not here to belittle people. You know, you do what you want, what makes you happy. You do what you feel's right, and it's exactly that. Don't let other people's faults get in the way of what you want to do. If you think it's the right thing, just crack on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask with the Sony thing. To this day, do you not have any contact with them at all? Like, is there still no contact in terms of
none?
So, like, even when like a Sony VR game comes out, like Firewall Ultra, I mean, maybe did you get no?
No, I mean, like,
no,
you know, I was in good with people at first contact.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that probably helped, yeah.
Right, like the who's the CEO over there? God, I've already forgotten people's names. But he would message me and ask me for like advice and stuff about. He's like, "Oh, we're playing this mode for Firewall Ultra." He's like, "What do you think? Should we do it this way or this way?" And he described both versions of it to me, and I'd be like, "Oh man, that other one sounds really cool."
And then that mode didn't come out.
Yeah, I mean, versions of it did, right? It's just a little bit underwhelming. Those guys just overpromised and under delivered. Again, another game that should have just been a port of Firewall 0 Hour instead of just a new game. You know, 100%. Yeah. So it is great that I think most developers appreciate what we're doing over here, even when Sony doesn't. Right. So like, we don't get the Sony reps responding. We don't get these middlemen that I used to have, or people sending keys for first party games. But there are people, you know, like I said, first contact. I don't remember if they ever got review keys out to us. I think they did, like maybe the day after launch or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was the day over the day after they gave keys out.
But it was from first contact. It was not from Sony, right? They just pretend like we don't exist.
That's shit. Yeah, but you know, you're still cracking on, and make more respect to you, still kind of pushing a product that I don't know. I suppose in a sense it's kind of dehomed you in a sense of the way to look at it, but you're still kind of rooting for it and you're still hoping for it to win. And I think that says a lot about you and your credibility itself. I think that's quite impressive actually, because a lot of people will be like, "No, fuck that. I ain't doing this anymore. I'm gonna hop over to the Quest." You know, but they'll love me there. You know, it is what it is. You know.
Yeah, I mean it is funny when like, you know, Ryan Payton from Camouflage is like so proud of his new Batman game. He emails me and goes, "Hey, I know you don't cover, you know, Quest stuff on your channel." He goes, "But I really want to hear your opinion about our new Batman game." He sends me like a review key for it, and I was like, I'm not even gonna like this. You're not going to get anything out of this. Like, you're not going to get
no video. That's
coverage, right? We did end up talking about it on Gamescast because Batman turned out to be really great, and I'm so proud of Camouflage.
Fantastic,
right? You could tell with Iron Man that Camouflage was almost there, right? They had great pedigree. People in their studio have great background with video games, and they've worked on all sorts of great stuff. But Iron Man was like almost there, you know what I mean? It was like
I've still not played Iron Man. It's the one game that I wanted to play. Okay, when I got a PSVR 1, I wasn't big on Marvel stuff, and not until I met my partner did I sit down and watch all the Marvel films and go, "Damn, I've been missing this," kind of thing. So that's why I never played Iron Man.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, listen, I didn't really care that much about Marvel stuff. I grew up loving comic books. You know, I've still got like even just right here by my feet, just hundreds and hundreds of comic books from when I was like 15 years old. And but then when Marvel kind of had this resurgence and sort of started taking over theaters and just having different releases every other month, I was like, it's all right, I'll watch the
I
ones
better
I care
start
about.
tuning in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was like, I was okay. I was like, I'll just watch the Spider-Man ones, and maybe I'll watch the X-Men ones, and even those I started just falling off of. And but Iron Man is like, oh, I get to be Iron Man in VR. That's a different story. Like I'm totally down with that. And I think that when you're playing the game, it's pretty good. Like it feels so good to pull the triggers and launch yourself up off the ground, right? As Tony Stark in the Iron Man suit, and they did
I'll have
that.
to buy it on Quest.
And flying around and shooting and everything is great. And then, but then, what is it? Then everything in Stark Manor, it's like the story-driven stuff is all teleportation. It's a long-winded conversations where you just stare at people as they're talking to you, and it's like, oh, I'm just standing here. Isn't there? Give me something to play with. Give me a lighter and a cigar. Give me some London heist stuff, right?
Oh, mate, that was awesome,
right? And so you get the impression that Camouflage kind of knew what they were doing, but they weren't quite there as far as VR stuff was concerned. And so it's like they took all of the criticisms from Iron Man to heart. And when Meta bought them, I was like, I don't know if this is a big loss or not. And then I played Batman, and I was like, this was a big loss. Like, these guys were like just hitting their stride, and created just an absolutely fantastic VR game with Batman. So hats off to them. They're killing it over there. I just hope that Meta keeps funding them, and that they're allowed to keep making these great.
I hope so too.
Practically really AAA games. Yeah.
As someone who's a huge fan of the Arkham series, playing that and experience like going through events and everything, and just experiencing like an Arkham game but in a VR setting, it was everything to me. I think in terms of like a person who like loved the Arkham games, it was just something I don't think I can put into words. And anytime I just kind of fumble every time I put it into words, because it was just magical. It's still one of the best VR games I've played like out there, that in the last 5 years I'd still put it out there as one of the best VR games that's released. Yeah. It's just, and I don't think that's everyone. There still was some technical issues because obviously it being a standalone device, you had some crashes and things like that. But I think for me to have that kind of, like, I mean, I remember buying the Arkham Asylum as like one of my first games I ever purchased with my own money that I had earned. So like already like Arkham as a game kind of has a thing to me, and then playing that was just, I don't know, just did something to me. I was like playing it and I was like, I am Batman. Like, this is everything.
I am Batman. Yeah, for sure. Dude, the first time you open up that cape talk about some cool VRAF elements, man. Like, they killed it.
It was just too cool. I'm gonna have to replay that again. I think I'll have to go back in.
I never finished
talking about.
I can't lie,
mate. It got to Christmas.
I got shit to do.
That's true. If you're not going to be covering it, I end up. So it got to. I didn't finish it. So it came out. I didn't finish it. I played probably about 2 hours of it. And it wasn't until Christmas where I kind of said, I'm taking a break from doing videos. I'm taking a couple of weeks break from doing the podcast. So we kind of pre-recorded stuff, and I pre-recorded videos. And then over that course of that break, I actually got to play games, to enjoy games. And
nice.
I played through that. And yeah, fantastic. You need to finish it one day.
I will. I promise. Yep.
So the next question is, which is the last of our community questions, which is from Alias Link. He said, are you hoping for a PSVR 3 when the PS6 arrives, or do you think Sony stops doing VR? A sad question to end on in the community questions.
No, I don't think it's sad at all. I think it's realistic, and I think it's a smart question to ask, and hopefully a smart question deserves some smart answers. I think Sony is too invested at this point. I think they've spent too much time and too much money, R&D, to go, listen, we stuck with VR during the days when people didn't care about VR. We stuck with VR, during times when people migrated over to standalone, or people migrated over to PC so they could mod flat screen games. They stuck with this during some pretty rough days for VR. And I think we're just getting rolling with PSVR 2, right? I don't think even Sony can see what the future holds for the platform. I think that they've dropped the price significantly, and then another $50 for the days of play sale going on right now, right? So it's a very affordable headset for most people. I would never. No,
it's a great price.
It's a great price, but like, $350 still is like not anything to sneeze at. That's a lot of.
It is. But I mean, for the quality of games you'll get from it, it is worth it.
Right.
But
And
again,
so,
it's only if you've experienced it, you'll think it's that.
right. And so, and we obviously got more games on the way. And honestly, the rest of this year is looking great. People have already announcing games for 2026. And so the future is looking really, really
we'll get
bright.
To that.
Oh, good. And so I think PSVR 2 is like, we're really just getting off the ground now, right? It's at a price point where that more people can afford it at. The library is bigger than it's ever been. Obviously, it's only going to keep getting bigger. And developers are starting to hear us when we talk about, what we want in terms of DFR, in terms of not using reprojection, like run your game at 90 native if possible. And we're getting great games that you can't get on Quest. Right, just some games are just not possible to run on Quest, or at least not deliver the way that developers want to. And so, on top of that, we've mobilized the fan base so much, in fact, that you would think that PSVR 2 was the only headset out there when you go on Twitter or other social media platforms.
It is a lot,
right? Like when people talk about, we were just mentioning this before the show started. Developers will announce their game for Quest. And the responses on Twitter are not, oh, we're so excited to buy this game on Quest. It's, when will you bring it to PSVR 2? And it's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of responses from PSVR 2 gamers. We buy more games on other platforms, despite being the smallest, install base for VR. We buy more games on other platforms. We're more excited about games. We don't care about free to play. Right, which is like, I think the only way to succeed on some other platforms on Quest. I think if you're not free to play, you're already screwing yourself. So it's, I think we're just getting started, and we're just learning that, we came away from PAX, and every developer I talked to is just talking about how they'd love to get their game on PSVR 2, and whether that's a VR game or not. Even flat screen developers, we talked to them, and they're like, "Oh, I love VR." And I was like, well, how come you're making a flat screen game? And they're like, oh, well, I don't know. I was like, well, I think your game would be great in VR. And they go, really? And I go, yeah, most games are great in VR, and yours looks great. And so, I think it's starting to happen. It's just happening slowly. And so when you think about the momentum and the time it's taken to build up that momentum for PSVR 2, the great thing is that PSVR 2 kind of feels like a new headset, because if you got a Pro, well, most games run a little bit smoother. Maybe like they take advantage of the Pro and run at a higher resolution, or whatever it is. It's little things here and there. Even Gran Turismo uses a better reprojection system on positional reprojection on the Pro, and so it's a lot of little things that are adding up to being like, oh man, we're just getting off the ground. And so I think PSVR 2 is going to sell really well by the end of the generation. I think we're going to have an amazing library of games. I honestly think, I haven't lost faith that all those PSVR 1 exclusives that Sony built, I still think those are going to make their way over at some point, right?
I think they should still, yeah.
It might take some people like, outside of Sony to be like, hey guys, what the fuck are you doing? Like, go VR Monkey. VR Monkey's an amazing port studio, right? And I think if Sony talks to VR Monkey, they could be like, oh, there's a business model here that works for both of us. So I think it's going to happen somehow.
Yeah, I hope it does, because it's like when we had Alex and like Laurie, both of them haven't played Astrobot Rescue Mission because they didn't have the PSVR 1. Right, they've never played Rescue Mission. They've never played Blood and Truth. And I'm like, dude, these games are the ones you need to play. Like, these are the ones you're going to want to play. And constantly, like, 2 years of doing this podcast, and the whole time they're like, come on, Sony's going to announce Astrobot in the next State of Play, and it never came. And just, I think that's what got them, really. I think that's what's made them both go, I can't keep doing this, man. It's just too much disappointment. We haven't got Astrobot Rescue Mission yet,
Yeah, I think when you focus on what we don't have, it can get really
frustrating. It can be quite bleak.
When you focus on what we do have, it's a completely different story.
It's overwhelmingly too much games. That's what we do have at this point. But yeah, I mean, that ends the questions. I mean, I feel like we've had a really good chat. I mean, already just from going through the questions. Don't take this the wrong way.
Did we answer the last question? Did we answer it?
No, you didn't actually. You didn't know. So
right, yeah. I think we maybe set up for an answer, but we didn't actually get there. And
I think what your answer was leading to was that the PSVR 2 will still go to the PS6, whether they do a PSVR 3 or not, kind of thing.
Exactly. I honestly think that we'll probably get a revision for PSVR 2.
I think that's what they need to do.
The headset's a little smaller, a little bit more comfortable, right? Take care of some of those issues. And But again, I don't think they're going to make anyone buy a new headset. You're just going to take PSVR 2 or PSVR 2 revision 2 and then boop, plug it into your PlayStation 6 because that's all we need now, right? We've seen that if the resolution can be high enough and to eliminate Mura, the frame rate can be high enough to eliminate the need for reprojection, right? So any complaints that people have with PSVR 2 are kind of negated by more horsepower. And so PlayStation 6 can really help with all of that. And so Sony doesn't need to R&D a new headset. They just keep trucking away with the one that they have. So I think because their investment in the future of VR requires so little from them, of course they're going to have it. They're the only console with a VR headset. That makes them better than the Switch 2. That makes them better than whatever Xbox is doing next. For people, what happened?
I'm so glad no Xbox fanboys watch this. They come in thick and fast. They're as angry as the PSVR 2 fanboys.
I'm a Nintendo fanboy, man, and I just keep begging Nintendo, like, come on, guys. I will leave.
I'll
Sony.
talk about your Switch.
I will leave my current wife. I promise you, and I will have an affair with you guys. I will completely jump ship and be a Nintendo channel if you guys put out a VR headset because who doesn't want Mario Kart in VR?
Joe, what I think if Nintendo did do VR, that would be the only time I would jump back on buying another Nintendo. I was not a fan of the Switch. I just didn't play it enough. I didn't
love the Switch.
And I get that a lot. And literally, I bought it, and my partner bought one, and I just don't think we just got that kind of. We didn't go out enough to experience it as a portable console. And then we were playing all the stuff that's going to PS5, so we didn't get to experience it as a main console in the house. And I think it just kind of made this thing that we'd bought be like, why the hell did we even get that kind of thing? It was just. Yeah. And it's stuck like that, and so much so it's become quite a joke in the group chats I'm in, to the point where they'll be talking about Switch 2, and I'll be like, well, here you go, here's my Switch, do you want this? And I was like throwing it on the floor, and like, you can take that. It's very, very inappropriate to my Switch, but still works fine. It's quite durable for a really thin handheld device.
Yeah. Listen, I love it. I still buy Switch games like monthly, and
I wonder why you're in a deficit. You need to take sponsors.
I am considering still getting a Switch 2 at launch. I didn't get a pre-order, but I am considering getting a Switch 2, mostly because I think it would be worth it just for Mario Kart World. I love Mario Kart so much that I'm going to spend hundreds of hours over the next 5 years playing Mario Kart World. That the price of the console, along with the price of the game, is worth it alone, I think. And then tack on the fact that I never actually finished Breath of the Wild. I probably got 6 hours in, then Horizon came out, or PSVR 1 came out, or something, and and I never got back to it. I was like, oh man, I can play like an HD, better frame rate version of Breath of the Wild. I'm so down, right? I don't need too much from a Switch 2. I think they've already announced what it'll require from me. But I'm a gamer, man. Like this is it. Exactly. I'm a gamer. People, I don't know, man. Like some people want to buy a new car. I don't want to buy a new car. I'm very happy with the Jeep that I've had for the last 20 years. Just it's dying a slow death. But I'd much rather have that. I'd much rather have that in a Switch 2 than a new car.
Exactly.
Anyway,
right. Well, let's quickly just brush off the news because there isn't a lot because we're actually recording this episode a lot earlier anyway, which kind of helps out because I did give you a lot of questions. And to be fair, I'm happy that we just had a nice, genuine chat about it all, because sometimes on these things it can kind of be like, wrap it up, Jeff Keighley type of thing. But I enjoy this. This is what I enjoy doing. It's just a normal chat, So if people do say it's too long, we'll play over 2 days. Just enjoy your time. Take it easy.
Do people complain about the videos being too long?
No. So sometimes if it goes over like an hour, people are like, oh, your episodes are usually like 45 minutes to an hour. And we're like, yeah, but, I don't want to stop people. I don't want to be like, the next one. I may try and edge it along a little bit, but it's never, you don't want to just kind of like, cool, that's enough next kind of thing. Well, so I kind of
you could make it into 2 videos. You could be like Bryan Paul part 1, Bryan Paul part 2.
That's a good idea. I might leave that to the
make everyone happy, right?
May leave that to the Discord people. You can all decide on that one. I'm going to ask them after this. But let's quickly brush off the news anyway. There's not a lot. There's only 3 things I've put down. The first one being Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Empire City coming to Quest and Steam. No mention of PSVR 2.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this only because I've probably wanted to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I feel like it's something I've always wanted to be ever since I was a kid and never got to experience it other than maybe one time when I wore a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles costume. Yeah. So this is something I've wanted.
Yeah, I grew up with the Turtles. And the original cartoon was like, that was my childhood. I get home from school and just like race up to my parents' bedroom where I could watch TV and watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was so great. And playing all the video games, and I absolutely love the Turtles. Although the original movie that came out, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie from what was it, 1990 or something?
Live action one?
Yeah. Dude, first of all, holds up. Right, it's just one of the greatest movies ever made. It really holds up. It doesn't get campy like the second and third movies do. Right, they don't get Vanilla Ice in there until Secret of the Ooze. But the first one is like, it's dark and it's indie and it's like just like it deals with like the is it Raphael? Oh, God, who is it that has like dealing with depression after the loss of Master Splinter? And it's so real. Like they treat these characters like not like comic book characters. They treat them like the original Eastman and Laird comics. And so I've always loved those movies. But I went the wrong way with the movie. I was watching that and I was like, I don't want to be a turtle. I want to be one of these kids that Master Shredder recruits. Right. I want to be one of the bad guys because those kids seem really cool. They're all smoking and drinking and doing drugs and playing arcade games, and they just get to they're the Lost Boys, but like.
Mate, another great film. Can we get a Lost Boys VR game, please? Can somebody do that for me? Actually, yeah, just let me go around. Fast travel games. You've already done a game where you're a vampire. You have to suck blood from people's necks. Just do that, but on a Lost Boys setting. Okay, take this idea, go do something with it, run with it. You're gonna have a game of the year right there.
Can we just do it? Can we just turn this into a movie podcast for the rest of the time?
Oh, mate, Joe, I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to bring you on. People are going to think you're back here to talk about VR, and they'll be like, "Ha, fooled you. We're talking about movies the whole time. 2 hours of movies.
Triple your subscribers."
Yeah, exactly. And people are like, "Oh, I've subscribed to this for movies, and you're talking about this shitty VR stuff." About, I can't win.
I got to be honest with you. I haven't even seen the trailer for the new VR game.
It was more like a teaser trailer, if anything. There's a box of pizza, and they're all just kind of the turtles reach in their hands and grab a slice of pizza. That's pretty much it. There's not really anything to the teaser trailer. It's not enough for you to kind of go, "Well, we've got a Turtles game." I think it's more coming from the people that have watched Turtles when they were a kid. Absolutely love that thing, and now they're kind of going, "I get to be a turtle in VR." But again, this kind of goes back to what you keep saying, like when a game is coming out on Quest and Steam. There's no one in the comments on like the IGN post because it was IGN that put this out first. There's no comments there going, "Oh my God, I can't wait for this to come out on Quest," other than people that are A, content creators, or B, somebody who watches a content creator who plays Quest games and actually goes out their way and buys Quest games. There's no overwhelmingly kind of, I'm so happy this is coming to Quest and PC. There's none of that. It's more people that are just hyped for Turtles that are happy it's coming. And I mean, Cortopia, Gorn 2 is coming to PSVR 2, so it's not out of the realms of possibility for them to be putting this to PSVR 2 eventually.
You say Cortopia? Is that who's developing
Cortopia are making
this?
Down
the rabbit hole people?
Yep, Cortopia. Them.
Oh, wow.
Down the rabbit hole people and the ones who made Gorn 2.
I didn't even know those were the same developers. I didn't know Cortopia made
I know, right?
Gorn.
Creepy, right?
Did Cortopia make Gorn 1?
No, they didn't. That was Free Lives and Devolver as publishers.
Right.
But whereas this still...
The developer changed hands. That's crazy.
And I tell you what, Gorn 2 is absolutely fantastic.
No way.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. It plays on exactly what Gorn had, adds more to it, and just makes you feel like, 1 minute, has this game even changed hands? Like, if you didn't know the developers had changed, by playing the two games, you wouldn't know just by that. It's that well done.
Right.
Yeah, as soon as that comes to PSVR 2, I think people are going to be really happy that they're not going to be disappointed. So I think that's the good excitement. The other good thing about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle things is it's 4-player co-op. Each character is playable, and different weapons and stats for each character as well. So it's something to get excited about.
Nice.
Now we'll spin it back to PSVR 2 now because Epyka is coming to PSVR 2 on the 5th of June. I stole AJ's notes here. It's
This is going to
running
be a
at
long. We got another 3-hour show ahead of us, man. I got it.
Yeah, I broke it down very, very. It runs at 120 hertz native, eye-track dynamic foveated rendering, enhanced textures, HDR, and haptics. Yeah, there was more on his post, but I thought to quickly make this. I've played a little bit of it on Quest, so I do know what Epyka is. It's a good little puzzler, not too long, good length to it. But I'm more interested in playing this on PSVR 2 than I was on Quest.
Cool.
Because that's the place where I first spotted it.
Just before we started this, I just downloaded it to both of my PlayStation 5s, the OG and the Pro, and so that's what I'm going to be doing after we're done this conversation.
Nice. And the next game, although I feel like this one, I'm hoping you're going to agree with me here. The announcement trailer came out for Presentiment of Death. Now, I feel like this has been on the PlayStation Store for maybe a month or so.
Yeah,
like, I feel
probably a month or two.
Yeah, so I'm a bit surprised the announcement trailers only just came out on.
I'm not surprised because the PlayStation Store is ridiculous, right? Like the fact that we get most of our announcements just by scrolling through the PSVR 2 section of the store, right? And it's like, oh, that game wasn't announced, but here it is. Like, so, you know,
like on Twitter, get everyone hyped. That's it. Yeah. You become famous for that.
We went on we headlined with Presentiment of Death 2 months ago, whenever we first found it on the store. You know, like we started looking up Steam reviews and watching trailers. And then typical PlayStation, they're like 3 months later, they go announcement trailer. I was like, yeah, bro, we know. Like you guys fucked this up by placing it on the store months ago.
Yeah,
you know, whatever. They just don't. They just.
So I thought I'd add this. Yeah, I thought I'd add this as a for anyone that didn't know that it's coming. It is coming, and also Sony, get your shit together. So there's that. By the way, Sony do still like us. But hey,
I'm sorry. I'll stop talking shit.
Oh no! I don't care. When something needs to be said, needs to be said. And at the end of the day, it's you know, they do shit wrong. I'm always going to point them out for doing the shit wrong.
We say it out of love, right? We want them to be better.
Exactly. It's never out of spite or hate. I mean, damn, I've bought every PlayStation going forward, and I'm still going to continue doing that. Just make me a happy customer. Make me want to scream about what you're making.
Yep.
So the last part of the show, we usually go over what we've been playing. Now, again, like you said, a lot of the time you play games, it's to review stuff. So there is one I'm hoping you have finally got access to, because I know you said about it on Gamecast the other night that you didn't have access to it, which was Get Out.
Oh, yeah, I don't have access to Get Out.
You still don't have access to it?
No.
Okay. Well,
do you?
I do.
I'm
actually gonna say I'm gonna put this out. I think I'm one of the reasons they delayed it. I'm putting that out there because I said to them about delaying it a little bit longer. But I have noticed some people putting reviews out today. They didn't give me an embargo or anything, so sadly, we're recording this on Tuesday. I've seen some pop out. I didn't have any embargo date. As far as I was aware, we were just kind of stress testing it, giving feedback, that kind of good stuff. You know, because I did a similar thing with Very Bad Dreams, and I gave them some feedback and stuff like that. Now, I liked Very Bad Dreams. I know a lot of people didn't, but I had a good time with it. It was quite ambitious, but at the same point, kind of fell flat in some places. But I still finished it and got the platinum and enjoyed my time with it. I haven't finished Get Out at the moment because there were some issues I was having, and they've now updated it, and I need to jump back into it. So I will be jumping back into it, and I'll give you all my full thoughts when I do finish it. But from what I've played at the moment, it still kind of has that same ambition that Very Bad Dreams has, but sadly, it does still have that jank that Very Bad Dreams has.
Yeah.
And yeah, like going from the points that it did have that I'm hoping to now fix, because I was really kind of going over certain things, that there would be certain puzzles where you do part of it and then you would die, and then you wouldn't be able to get that puzzle piece back because now that door's locked and all that kind of stuff. And then I was kind of really going into like, okay, you need to kind of fix these things before launch. So I'm going to restart the whole game, go back and see these things are all fixed, because I really want to scream about this game. I really want everyone to be hyped about this game, because I really did like the ambition of Very Bad Dreams. But if it kind of gets to the point where, yeah, all the issues spring to the top, I think it's going to be in the same position as the other one. And I hope that's not the case for them, because I think they do have good ideas as developers.
Yeah,
I'm just not too sure they know how to execute them the right way at all times.
Yeah, I was playing through Very Bad Dreams on PSVR 2 because I reviewed Bad Dreams on PSVR 1.
Yeah, I watched that one when they...
I
They
never
sent
I
me a
never
key to
updated the
try it.
review. I never updated the review, so I was like, well, with Get Out coming out this week, I figured let's finally get that updated review for PSVR 2 out. Let's play through it. So that's what I'm actually doing right now, is playing Very Bad Dreams again. And I was shocked because if you leave this thing on your hard drive, on your PS5 hard drive, it was getting updated pretty much every single day for the better part of a year, right? And I was like, oh, look, another Very Bad Dreams update. Oh, look, a very another Bad Dreams, right? And then you expect when you finally go back to it that like everything's just going to be perfect, but it's like identical. Like, what were all these updates? Because it just looks and feels identical to what it was before, and which is fine, right? These are two people making games that they're just very passionate about, and I think for a 2-person project that they're
Yeah.
not charging very much for, I think they dropped the price of Very Bad Dreams to $10.
I think that's $7.99 in pounds. But that does equate to the playtime. It is a very short experience.
3 hours, right? Something like that. So
Get Out shorter.
Yeah, so it's right. So between but again, going back to the conversation we had earlier about 7 out of 10 games, this one's probably closer to a 6 out of 10, right? But it's
but it's still got some good points.
Yeah, like I do feel like if you're a horror fan, like you're missing out if you don't play it, and so yeah, I'm super down to finish up my my Very Bad Dreams playthrough, and I was in contact with Mark like literally last week. He was telling me the reason that like, he hadn't sent me a key yet, and I was like, oh, okay. And then other people got keys again, I guess. So I don't ask questions anymore, man. I used to get bent out of shape about this stuff. I'm like, wait, why didn't I get a key? And now I'm just like,
I used to be like that, and I don't care anymore.
There's too much to play, and like if you give me an excuse to not cover your game, to not have to like add that to my list of things to do, I'm like, oh, thank you. Like you've just taken a lot of stress off of my life. Like when Hitman didn't get keys out until after launch, I was like, well, I guess like I can focus on other stuff. Goes to board and get keys out till after lunch. I was like, I guess I can focus on other stuff. It means that there's not going to be reviews on the channel for like a month, but they'll get there eventually. I'll just have to fit them in between other games that I'm playing.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say to people is like the reviews I have seen at the moment haven't been favourable.
Yeah,
sadly. But I say if you did like Very Bad Dreams in any way, you're probably still going to like this. I think this is a game that's very much anyone that enjoyed Very Bad Dreams. You're still going to like this. You're going to be used to the jank and the issues it has. But prior to the state it's in now, I haven't played the newest update, like the release update. So I'll wait until I try that, and I'll get round to letting you all know there. But what I played could be better, but I had fun nonetheless, and it still made me jump, and it was creepy and things like that. And it was very bad. It was just like Very Bad Dreams. Apart from I haven't seen a giant spider yet, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen because I will not be able to tolerate that again. Yeah, that spider on the bed. Nah, mate, I screamed. Not happy.
Literally just re-experienced that last night, and I was like, I'm not a fan of spiders myself, so no. I feel that.
Yeah, hate him in VR. Absolutely hate him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the only other game I've been playing is Hard Bullet, which just came to Quest. And another reason I want to mention this one is because I want this to come to PSVR 2. I really want this to come to PSVR 2. And I know I've seen a lot of people since it's come into Quest, and it's got a lot more popularity than it had during its early access stage in PC. I'm assuming by your typing, you don't know what Hard Bullet is really.
I'd heard of it. I'm watching a trailer right now just to kind of refresh my memory.
Okay,
and I will tell you this is not what I thought it was. So I'm going to reverse my answer and say no. Maybe I hadn't even heard of it.
So
why
this looks
so good?
It's a very much a sandbox game where you're placed in an arena with waves, and a lot of people think this game is just a game where you're just going to go around shooting people. There is a mode called Ride Mode where you can unlock cosmetics for your weapons and all this kind of stuff. But the real art to this game comes from the creativity. And when I say creativity, it will make you look like a psycho. You will not look like a sane person. And publishing those clips you put out will probably put you on some sort of register because they're pretty bleak. But at the same point, like, the way this game works with attaching camera angles to different weapons and different parts of your body, you can literally attach a camera angle to a gun and you can shoot the shells and you see the shotgun shells come out the gun, and you can make these really cinematic clips and they look really cool. They've managed to do that on the Quest and use that with the Live implementation, and they can do the exact same thing with PSVR 2. And it's just one because like I originally played this on PC, and you can actually like take these cameras and the settings, and you can attach them to different parts of the world around you, and then that will be the output screen. So you can capture that as the output, and then you can then formulate all these clips together, and it's just, I don't know. Think of Dreams, but instead you're making your own action movie. I
Yeah,
suppose and it's just, it plays great on the Quest, and it just made me even more so want it on the PSVR 2. And I know publicly that VR Monkey have nudged them and said, dude, hit us up, we'll help you with the port.
nice.
They've already publicly reached out to them, so I know a few people have mentioned it in our Discord. I've seen a few people mention it on the video I just released as well. It's a great game, and I do think PSVR 2 players need to have like a sandbox game like this, because we don't have Blade and Sorcery right now. It's that with
True.
guns, basically.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. Not to yuck anyone's yum, but I this game looks so much fun to watch someone else play. But when it comes to people, I've gotten complaints on my channel before, people being like, "Bro, like, you're no fun to watch. You're like you're not you're not swinging around in your bedroom, right? You're not jumping and doing this, or like like be the badass that like the game lets you be." And I'm like, I just want to play the game, right? Like and that's how I've always been. Is like I don't want to make my own fun in a game. I want to experience the fun that the developers have in store for me. And watching this trailer, I go, this looks so much fun to watch, but I will be the worst person to review it, because it's like, oh, if you're not like throwing your gun up in the air and like firing something else while you're waiting for it to come down and catch, and like setting up all these cool angles.
Yeah,
I just want to shoot bad guys in a level and make my way through it. This game seems like it's for the Gorn crowd, right? It's be like, oh, look at me, oh, I'm tearing limb from limb. It's like, it's all right. That's good, because there's a lot of gamers out there like this. I think especially the younger generation, they like to make their own fun when it comes to gaming. And that's why I think we've seen such a dramatic shift in certain the types of games that we see. But and so I mean, I'm super interested in it, and I've been trying to sort of step outside of my own comfort zone and be like,
you have to with VR, don't you?
A little bit. Yeah, we played Legendary Tales as a 4-player co-op stream with the other with my co-host right before PAX, and in my head the whole time was like, make this look cool, Bryan. Don't just play the game. Make it look fun. Make the combat look ridiculous. And so I was like, bashing skeletons with my shield and throwing them across the room, and just like doing all sorts of crazy attacks and shit, to the point where I was like punching stuff in my bedroom on accident. And so like I am doing my best to experience these games the way that other people want me to experience them.
Yeah.
But like simultaneously, I'm like, sometimes I just want to play a game. I don't want to like be over the top. And Hard Bullet looks like it's a game for people who love being over the top. So I'll give it my best if we ever see it on PSVR 2. But in the meantime, I'll be happy to watch other people be crazy.
So I will say for you then, fortunately, ride mode would be your player, your choice to go for if you was to play the game, because ride mode is the way where you just take out waves of enemies and you try and survive, and then you progress, and then you unlock things, and you got that progression tree and all that kind of stuff. That would be your mode. Whereas the other mode is more for, I say progression trees. It's more so like a progression of like cosmetics in a tree. The way they've done it, it's sadly not skills, but I would like skills and things like that. But again, this game has been in early access for what seems to be quite some time. I think it might be 2020. It started early access on Steam.
Wow.
And I feel like when I originally played it on Steam, there was no one that turned. I remember streaming it. No one turned up. No one watched any of it, and it really kind of made me go like, I was playing with the cameras on it. And I was like, it really kind of formulated this idea to create like a movie. So I did that. I came off the game after the stream, and I did all these different angles, and then I did a voiceover for it and made this whole trailer. Nice. And I tell you what, is one of the things that I was so proud of making. Nobody watched it.
That's how it works.
It's fine. It happens. Yeah. It always works. And I stand by it. I'm incredibly happy with it. I don't care if anyone don't like it. I'm incredibly happy with that. And only recently, since the Quest announcements came out, I've noticed a spike in viewers on it. There's been more people watching. I'm like, no one's cared about this game for the last 2 years, it seems, until Quest has now. They've been doing their marketing, and it just seems like it's blown up. But again, exactly what you said. Every single video this saying is coming to Quest. PSVR 2. I've seen someone called Fats Controller. He really wants this game. every single post they do. Please bring it to PSVR 2. There's other ones on there. There's PSVR Fanatic, the names you see on Twitter a lot, all of them just kind of PSVR 2, because PSVR 2 doesn't have a game like this. I mean, other than kind of Swordsman, but again, that's not really sandboxy kind of thing. So,
where is Blade and Sorcery? But didn't they say they were considering a PSVR 2 version like 4 years ago?
Considering. We like those words, don't we? We're considering. I
they
think
they were the ones that like we have to see what the controllers are like, and then it turned out to be the best controllers ever, and they were like, we still haven't brought it over.
Yeah, they need to bring that over. I think that would do so well for them on the PSVR 2, especially if they beat. If they beat Undead Citadel to the punch. Undead Citadel, I think, will actually have quite a good marketplace on PSVR 2.
Yeah,
that's more so because we don't have a lot of games like that.
Yeah, well, I listen. I think Darkari has been mind-bogglingly weird over the last 6 years, right? Ever since, or 5 years, whatever it's been, ever since they first announced Undead Citadel. Maybe they were just more ambitious than they were able to deliver on. But showing it off for PSVR 1, and then like literally they have a video clip of them in a PSVR 1 headset with Move controllers playing the game, and you can see it playing on the TV.
Never knew that.
Oh yeah, I've got that stored, like, and I bring it up whenever possible.
Send me that.
I will definitely send you that. It's playing right now. I'm telling you what to edit into your video, right? And then at some point they said it was going to be a PSVR 2 launch title, and like PSVR 2 launched like we're coming up on 2.5 years ago, and but they backed off in order to get it to launch on Quest 3. I think they wanted to be there for that. That was more important to them. And then here we are now they're full force on PSVR 2 again. They were like, oh yeah, it's going to run at 120 reprojected, and we're like 90 native, please. And they were like, hold on, okay, 90 native it is. And we're like, what is happening over there? Like,
have you played it?
Have I played Undead Citadel? Only on Steam. I played the Horde mode on Steam. God, I want to say like 3 years ago at this point.
Okay, so I've played it recently. What were your thoughts 3 years ago? Out of curiosity.
It was good. I mean, I like the visual the art style, right?
Did it have the story at that time?
If there was a story, like it must have been like during one of those Steam Fest, VR.
Oh, okay, one of the Steam, yeah.
And so when I played it, it was literally a demo of the Horde mode.
I played it and I loved the visuals and I liked the gameplay, but I found it so boring. But I think like the more I look back at the time I played it, there was just no kind of weight to the sword. There was no kind of, I didn't feel any kind, I felt maybe I should have upped the difficulty a little bit maybe, but there was no weight to the sword. It felt like I was just waving this sword around. And the whole time I was playing, I was like, I want this with like more haptics and things like that. I want to be hitting the head and feel that. Yeah. So there was all that kind of stuff. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. But yeah, it does seem like they've been hyping this game for what seems like forever.
I mean, it's the swordsman adventure that I've wanted, right? Like that's
the
one thing that Swordsman didn't deliver was the one thing I wanted, and that was like some level-based progression with bosses at the end of it or whatever, reasons to explore and find potions or better weapons. Instead, that was all done via menus, right? It was like, click this and what weapon do you want, and you can go customize your battle. And I was like, that's not for me. That's again for people who want to make their own fun in a game, right? And like drop down onto the ground and crouch under a sword as it's being swung at you. It's like,
I ain't doing that.
Cool, man. I'm too old.
We're getting old. Our knees are at this point. I ain't dropping down to the ground in a VR game. No,
absolutely.
So, is there anything you've been playing this week that you want to get off your chest? Bear in mind, this episode will probably go out on the 3rd of June. I say probably. It will go out on the 3rd of June. So, if there's anything embargo that you can talk about, by all means. If not,
I mean, as far as VR stuff's concerned, like I said, I was replaying Very Bad Dreams for the review, and I'm about to start Epyka. I just broke out my PlayStation Portal to play Balatro because my nephew has been telling me for the last year to play it. He's got over 100 hours in it. One of my moderators, Rypop, just got into it recently, and I was always like, I bought it like months ago and never actually got around to playing it. And I was a little nervous about it because I know that these are the kind of games that'll suck me in, right? Like, especially when you've got a game that you can watch YouTube from bed and play on a second screen. You know what I mean?
You can just record Gamecast and be like this the whole time. So
yeah. Like, I've actually been playing Balatro down here the whole time we've been doing this.
I did wonder what you was doing with your hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I swear I wasn't playing with myself. It was all
I thought it was
Bellagio.
I thought it was just my stunningly good looks, but you said I was pixelated earlier on, but I thought that added to it.
Yeah. No, it's like, and so you just like, so the first time I played Bellagio was the other night, and I was watching, I don't know, I forget what I was watching. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But it
That's
was,
irrelevant.
yeah, well, you know, I've been watching a lot of stupid stuff. I love stand up comedy, and I watch all the stand up I can consume. But I've also been watching like really crappy horror movies on Amazon, and then and then Tiffany Tolman from Skydance. I had a long conversation with her about a month ago, and somehow at the end of that conversation, I was convinced that I wanted to binge watch every episode of Grey's Anatomy, which is not, I think, something, not a way people should be spending their time. And so I am on season 3 of Grey's Anatomy, which means it's just on.
I'm
And I'm
sorry, it's
playing,
not a horrible show. It's not. My partner watches it, and every time she puts it on, I end up sitting around and watching it as well.
I mean, it's not horrible, but it's also not great. Like
No.
it's good background noise. It's the kind of thing that you don't have to pay that close attention to, and it can just be. It's like you're never going to be like, oh, who's that person again? You know who that person is, right? They've been having sex with
You
everyone
see
else
him
in the
every
hospital
time.
for the last season. It's fine, right? And so it's been on in the background while I've been. And so I played 4 hours of Bellagio while watching Grey's Anatomy the other night, and that was the first time I ever played Bellagio. And so it's like
Fair
these
play.
games just kind of hook me, you know. I love the Steam Deck, and I love the Switch, and I love the Portal, all for the same reason, because I can play them in bed while watching TV. Most people would call it multitasking, getting two things done at once. I call it doing nothing, right? Because these are not games that are going to like really, yeah, it's somewhat mindless. The TV's mindless. The game is somewhat mindless, and I really, really, really want to get away from that a little bit, because there are games coming out like Claire Obscur, Expedition 33,
Yeah, I
um,
heard you speaking about it the other night.
which is just like watching any review or hearing anybody talk about it is 100% my kind of game, and that is something I want to plug away at like an hour a night before bed, you know, and then over the course of the next 3 months finally complete it. um but I haven't gotten into a game that deep in a long time, and I think it just speaks to, like, you know, how tired I am, and like my concentration
Just
levels
don't
at
find
mealtime at home.
time, do you? Sadly, like as soon as
Yeah,
you finish playing VR stuff, you kind of like, I'm just gonna sit down and watch TV, or I'm gonna lay down, and you're falling asleep.
yeah,
It's just, I don't think people understand. Like, you start this as a passion, and then as soon as you get to a certain point, you just don't have time for other things. So your passion kind of overwrites what you're doing anyway. So
yeah. I had a passion for talking about video games, and it turned into a 70-hour a week job as a video editor. I was like, wait, well, hold on a second. How did I didn't sign up for 70 hours of video editing a week. That's not like, yeah, it takes me so long to edit a review, or even to edit PSVR this week, or a breaking news video. Like, by the time I finish the breaking news video, it's definitely not breaking news anymore. Like, this stuff
yeah,
just takes so long to do, that I just, yeah, I don't know. But you know what?
I forgot to send you the terms of actually coming onto this podcast. So the terms is actually you need to edit this episode as well. So I'll be
Yeah,
sending this over to you, the files to do as well, and everything you need to do with that.
it's fine. Expect it the middle of September.
Yeah,
I'll get it back to you as soon as my schedule
it's fine.
clears up a bit.
It's
Yeah.
fine. I'll figure something else out. But no, Brian, seriously, mate, it's been absolutely amazing you having you on here. Just having literally a complete genuine chat with you. Again, it just feels like I've been chatting with a mate about VR and gaming. It's been lovely. So thank you for joining us. I say
Yeah, man.
us, it's me.
No, thanks for having me on. This was really cool, and you know, one of my New Year's resolutions for 2025 was to say yes a lot more often. Right?
God
Not that
damn.
I would.
So glad we didn't ask you last year then.
Well,
The intention was to.
the problem is that, like, I don't, you know, I don't see myself as very interesting, and so I probably, like, if you had asked me last year, I would have declined, thinking like, what
Why?
we're not gonna have anything to talk about, like, you know, like, just anybody else has, you know, tons of opinions about VR games as well. And so, you know, this year, you know, I've anybody who's asked me to do anything, I've said yes to. So, and again, not that I would have said no last year, but I am trying. I'm trying to better myself and trying to think more highly of myself, if that makes sense. You know,
It's the right
get,
thing to do.
yeah. So,
You're an
you know,
incredibly genuine person, mate. So, I mean, don't need to put yourself down. Do you know what I mean? Well, I mean, I don't know if you necessarily put yourself down, but you know what I mean. Like it's
No.
you don't
Tornado
need
does
to...
that enough for both of us. It's all
Yeah,
good. It's all good.
yeah. Avoid Twitter or Reddit. Just stay away from Reddit. Oh fucking hell! There's
Also
venom
true.
on there.
Yeah.
Venom. But yeah, no, definitely. Thank you for being here. So, I mean, with that, thanks again for listening, everyone. If you've enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could please tell your friends and family about us. If you would like to get more involved, please don't hesitate to drop into our Discord and say hi. And thank you for everyone that's already done that. I've been your host, Reece, and I've been joined by the one and only Bryan from Without Parole. And I'll see you again next time.
Bye.